Welcome to Underwater CSI International Revealed with your hosts, Senior Investigators Rich Morin and Ed Myron.
Welcome to another episode of Underwater CSI International Revealed. I'm your host, Senior Investigator Rich Morin, and joining me as always,
I'm your co-host, Senior Investigator Ed Myron.
How you doing today, Ed?
Well, pretty good, Rich.
I think last show we told people that we were going to take them to the Caribbean this time.
Yeah, somewhere
right?
nice and warm.
Again, yeah, we try not to divulge specific locations, etc. So we're just going to say the Caribbean.
Yep.
And we happened to be down there for an insurance job.
Yeah.
So, all right. It's quite a few years ago.
Yep. So we got called in for a insurance job for a seaplane.
Yeah, which was used for transporting cargo.
Right.
So it was a good-sized seaplane.
Yep.
And that's what we were down there for.
Yep. So the insurance company, this particular accident, the seaplane happened to roll over due to some of the waves, the amount of waves, the weight of the seaplane, and it actually rolled over.
Yeah, and one of the struts broke and released the pontoon on it, and so it ended up just having a single pontoon, which wasn't enough to hold it up, and it went down with the cargo on board.
Right. So the insurance company wanted us to offload all the cargo first, and then recover the plane.
Right.
So this wasn't going to be just a 1 or 2 day job. We were going to be there for a few days.
Yeah, because the first thing we wanted to do, like always, is do our initial investigation and treat it as a potential crime scene.
Right.
But we had no evidence of any foul play at all. It was, definitely, it turned out to be an accident.
Accident, right.
Yeah. This particular cargo company had a great reputation. No shenanigans at all.
Right.
Everybody we interviewed, we really couldn't come up with any evidence whatsoever that it was foul play.
Right. It was an unfortunate accident.
Right.
And the good thing was none of the crew members were hurt.
Right. And the insurance company is just trying to cut their losses a little bit by recovering the cargo itself.
Right.
Knowing that the plane's going to be a write-off, but the if we can save the cargo, there's a good chance they've got to come up with less money.
Right.
At that point.
Right.
So we can't blame them for that.
Right.
But while we're there, we were coming back one late afternoon from working all day. And I know you and I were driving together that day. We had the rest of our staff, we're heading back to the hotel in our vehicles. And we're going to talk about the Go Fast boat. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So
some people call it a cigarette boat.
Yeah. So those are the long boats with the multiple engines on the back, extremely fast.
Right.
They usually have a really nice cabin down below. It's kind of like a dining area with a nice master suite.
Right.
that's down there. But the boats are quick.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they use them to make quick runs back and forth stateside. Like, hey, if we're going to run to Miami or something like that, or neighboring islands, they can do it very fast.
Right.
But we were driving down the road, heading back to the hotel. And all of a sudden, we pass a gas station, and my head whips around, and I look over at you, and I go, "Did you just see that?"
And I was like, "Wait a minute, what is that mounted in that boat?"
And you were like, "Is that a Davit? Did I just see a Davit in that boat?"
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, going, "What does a Go Fast boat need with a Davit?" Now, if you're not familiar with what a Davit is, imagine a lobster boat. And the lobstermen are going along, and they're going to pick up their lobster traps. And they have that little boom or that crane that comes out over the side of the boat, and they reach down and hook on, and then they crank it up and bring the lobster trap up and then swing it back over to the boat.
Right.
That's a Davit.
Yeah. Or if you think about it, like when we're trying to get you out of the pool, they kind of swing that seat over into the water and drop that in. And then we hoist you up and then swing you back over. It's kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, you're a funny guy.
It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
When I go to the pool next time, I'm going to tell them, hey, that's a Davit right there.
That's right. So. Yeah, thanks, buddy. So anyway, this was a low-profile Davit, and we're thinking, what is this, a new type of tourism? They're bringing people out on tours, and then they want, hey, you want to go for a swim, and we'll pull you back up with the Davit.
Yeah. Crank you up into the boat.
Yeah. So, immediately we're both thinking the same thing. We're thinking possibly drug smuggling. So we pull over, and we decide we're going to watch at the gas station and follow the boat and see where it goes. Just curiosity as crime scene investigators. It piqued our
Right.
curiosity. And it's late in the day, so we're thinking, he's probably just going home, or bringing it back to a marina or something like that.
Right.
But no.
No. He ends up going to a local boat launch.
Right, which was a public boat launch, self-serve.
Right.
No attendants or
No
anything.
attendants, right?
Yeah,
And,
late in the afternoon.
Late in the afternoon, and launches his boat.
Yeah, and after he launched the boat, he went to park the truck and trailer, and we're sitting in our truck, and we're looking over, watching, and the boat's sitting high up out of the water.
Right.
The bow of the boat is real high, not very little draft at all.
Right.
On
Normal running conditions for this boat. Right?
Absolutely.
Those boats don't draft a lot of water.
Yeah. Now, he left his truck and trailer here, so chances are he doesn't have anyone else driving it, so chances are he's coming back here shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we decide to wait. And while we're waiting, we're talking about the job that we're currently working on and trying to figure out how we're going to unload the cargo and, in what order and stuff like that, and then the recovery of the plane, et cetera.
Right.
Well, we ended up sitting there. It was about 3 hours.
Yeah. It was quite a while.
Okay. It's dark now. It's nighttime.
Right.
And we can hear something. All right. We hear a boat coming in. We don't see a boat.
Right. No running lights. No cabin lights. Nothing.
He is coming in dark.
Right.
All right. We heard him because those motors are loud.
Right.
Right. And he is no longer sitting high in the water.
Right.
He is deep in the water, drafting. He's got a deep draft now.
Right. Which is, again, now, as crime scene investigators, this is piquing our interest.
Yeah, I'm sure he went to a local island and just picked up cargo.
Right.
Or supplies.
Yes.
And, and he's coming back, because he picked them up on shore, at a dock system and needed the davit to get it onto the boat.
Right.
All right. So I'm sure that's what's happening.
That's what it is.
He's sitting low in the water. Now, prior to us going to the Caribbean for this job, we also owned a few, several dive centers over the years.
Right.
And, we currently, at this point still had, recreational dive centers that were operational. You and I basically focused on underwater CSI, and we had other staff members that were in the recreational part of the business.
Right.
But we had certified a girl a few years earlier that ended up being a really good diver, and she was kind of coming around a lot. We befriended her, and she ended up going in the Coast Guard. Real proud of her.
Yeah.
Right.
She was doing a great job there.
And we had made the comment, it's like, hey, we're going to be in that area. Wouldn't it be great if we could reach out to her and maybe get together somehow and go off and do a couple of fun dives?
Yeah.
We had dived with her in the past, and it would have been a good time.
Right.
So that's going to come into play here in a little bit. So here we are watching the boat, and he ties off to the dock, gets out, gets his truck and trailer, backs in, loads his boat, pulls it out of the water. As he's strapping it down, who shows up?
Yeah. So two separate law enforcement cars.
Yeah. So
local.
So now we're thinking this is going to get exciting.
Right.
All right. They're on to this guy.
Right. They've been watching him.
Yeah.
They see him pull in.
They're coming in and they're on to this guy. We're excited now. This is going to get good, and maybe we can be backup for these guys.
Right. Right.
But it didn't go that way.
No.
We're watching.
Right. Sorry.
Still dark.
Yep. Things seem to change all of a sudden.
All of a sudden we saw handshakes. We saw laughter, a lot of smiling.
Yep.
What else did we see?
Yeah. So during their conversation, the three gentlemen, the owner of the boat, or we presume owner of the boat, handed these two law enforcement agents some money.
Yeah, a pile of money.
Yeah.
He handed them each a stack of money, and one of the law enforcement agents had stripes on their sleeve.
Right.
So they're an officer.
Right.
So we are just, well, I don't want to say we're stunned because we've dealt with this before.
Right.
But we're like, really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
So who do we report this to? We don't know who to go to now. How deep does it go? How many people are getting paid off?
Right.
Because this pile of money that's changing hands, is it going just to these two officers, or are they the mules that's going to bring it back to other people?
Right.
Right. There are people above them. We don't know how far up it goes.
Right. So we're concerned.
Right.
And we're concerned on, okay, we're not sure who to go to. So
right. So we decide that, let's sleep on it.
Yep.
All right. Let's think about what we're going to do, et cetera, how we're going to handle this. And the following day, we reach out to the Coast Guard.
Right.
Okay.
Since we had the connection with the young lady that we had certified,
Yep.
we contacted her.
And she
She
put
was
us.
she
I'm
was
sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
no, she was a great help.
Right. She put us in contact with her commander.
Right.
And, we told them what was going on, gave them the identification numbers of the boat,
Right.
the registration, and, the description of the
Yep.
vessel itself. And then we're thinking, that's it. All right.
Yeah.
Let the Coast Guard deal with it when they're in the area. But they're not stationed here.
Right.
So they just go by once in a while as they're going from, point A to point B. They pass this particular island once in a while. But I think it was 2 or 3 days later.
Right.
I think it was 3. 3 days later, we get a call.
Yep. And again, where we are, this area is known for, I don't know if I should say known, but it's a trafficking area.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas in the Caribbean that are basically transfer areas, where they bring drugs in from South America, and then from there they're trafficked out from these islands, to all points of not only the Caribbean but also parts of the United States.
Right.
So it can be, all right, a drug trafficking area.
Right.
Maybe we stumbled across, one of the vessels that's bringing in, some drugs.
Right.
But we're not sure yet. We're just kind of like, guessing and thinking, what else could it be? That type of thing. But again, we don't work that way. We have to have specifics. We have to have evidence, et cetera.
Right.
So we contact the Coast Guard, and they say, okay, we're going to keep our eyes open.
Yeah. So it was, like you said, 2 or 3 days later. I think you're right. I think it was 3 days later.
Yeah, because the pursuit was the night before.
Right.
They the Coast Guard was undercover.
Right.
They were looking at their night scope and night radar.
Right.
And they basically pinpoint the vessel. Again, no lights, using the Davit, picking up bales of what they're predicting is going to be drugs.
Right.
Okay. Pursuit happens.
Right. What happens is a high speed pursuit.
Right. And in order to try to get away, knowing that the Coast Guard vessel is going to draft a lot more water than the Go Fast boat, what does he do?
He's heading for shore.
Yeah. Or to shallower water.
Yeah, shallower water.
So that, he's going to try to lose the Coast Guard boat.
Right. He's going to try to run parallel with the shore and, in shallower water.
In the dark.
Right. In the dark. He's going to elude the Coast Guard vessel.
Right. And hopefully get away.
Right. But little does he realize he may be a little bit too close to shore.
Yeah, he hit a shallow reef.
Right.
And tried to power out and head out to deeper water to get away, and did enough damage to his vessel where it started taking on water and the boat sank.
Right.
All right. So the Coast Guard ended up picking him up out of the water. I wonder if they used a Davit.
Yeah, I think that's what they did. I think they just.
I'm pretty sure that they went ahead and deployed their Zodiac.
Yeah.
Plucked this guy out of the water. But so anyway, we get the call.
Right.
Because they know we're still on island, and we get the call, and we're asked if we would be interested in coming out and doing the investigation, doing the underwater forensics and the photography and videography, and eventually the recovery of the vessel.
Right.
Because it's going to be evidence now.
Right.
Or they're hoping for anyway.
Right.
So it's like, absolutely. We'll be happy to do that for you.
Absolutely.
And so we go ahead, and after we locate the vessel, just like anything else, we start big, work small. And as we approach the boat, we're photographing, videotaping anything we can perceive as potential evidence.
Right.
We photograph the outside and videotape the outside of the vessel, which there's not, it's a pretty streamlined vessel. So it's not like we have a lot of compartments to kind of look into, et cetera.
Right.
And once we got over to the helm area, we look for anything suspicious in the helm, especially potential drug smuggling boat. We're looking for something such as a self-destruct device, right? Rather than get it captured, they're going to destroy the vessel,
right?
So that's always a concern, because I hate when we get blown up.
Yeah,
it ruins your day.
Yeah.
So we're checking. There's nothing on the vessel that's pointing to anything of a self-destruct device on it. We open up the cabin doors eventually after our investigation of the helm area, and it is full from
just packed
bow all the way back with bales. Now, we don't know what they're bales of.
Right.
We just know that they're bales.
Right.
And they've got them on video, all right, because they're videotaping as he was out in the water picking these bales up with the Davit and loading the vessel up.
Right.
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 So he would get so much in the cockpit area, and then bring the bales up quickly and then come back out, pick up more and bring in. And he's got night vision out there. And so it's pretty easy for him to, pick up these floating bales.
Right.
And I'm not sure if they ever find all of them, or if they, are missing a few and some end up floating to shores or something.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
Right.
So we went ahead and notified the Coast Guard, their top side. And we came up and said that, the vessel is loaded with bales.
Right.
We can't determine what it is. That's your job.
Right.
So what would you like us to do? Do you want us to recover the vessel with the bales in it, or do you want us to bring the bales up individually? And they said, well, we'll bring, can you bring the bales up to us individually, and we'll muscle them up on board?
Right.
Absolutely. And then what they do is they'll launch their inflatables. And then as we bring the bales up, they'll go into the inflatables, and then from there, they'll bring them around and bring them up onto the vessel. Afterwards, and I would expect nothing less from them, they said that we have to search the vessel once you bring it to the surface.
Right.
Okay. We're going to escort you in while it goes up onto a trailer. It's going to be impounded. It's going to go to an impound area for future prosecution, possibly.
Right.
But we need to inspect it. And I was happy to hear that.
Sure.
Because other than the one crew member, they don't know us.
Right.
They're hoping that we're legit, but we were hoping that those police officers were legit also.
Exactly.
So they determined that, yes, it is drugs, and they estimated street value to be several $1 million worth of drugs on this one run. How many times a week is this guy doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
And how many people are getting paid off? I can't believe that law enforcement would not wonder what a Davit's doing on a go fast boat.
Right.
So it's making me think that it's probably pretty much island wide.
Yeah.
As far as the corruption goes. Not saying every single officer, but there's got to be a few, and there's got to be some upper echelon.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're putting a bad name for the good people that are out there, the good men and women that are out there doing their job. So they go ahead and test the bales. They cut in each one of them, and yes, it's full of drugs. It was a big recovery for them, and we eventually recover the vessel, bring it up. We can't pump it out and tow it in that way because it's got a big hole in the down on the hull of the boat.
So we have to tow it in using the lift bags in place.
Yeah, bags
tow
have
it
to
in.
be in place.
Right.
We're escorted by the Coast Guard.
Right.
We get it in. The trailer's backed in. We actually bring the vessel over the trailer and then drop it down onto the trailer. Then take all of our rigging off and stuff on that. They pull it up out of the water. It's now impounded. They do their final inspection to make sure, we didn't miss anything, et cetera. And then, then it's in their hands. They take it away.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
And we contacted our person that we know at the Coast Guard. Thanked her again very much for calling us out to help with this recovery and this investigation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do some fun dives with her because we ended up extending our stay a couple extra days. We had to get back stateside and back to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So and the recovery for the plane and the cargo, we finished up and everything went well.
Yeah.
So I mean, overall, it was a couple weeks, right? We were there, and
it was about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we finished up everything. Everything went well, and it felt good. We got some drugs off the street, and it was.
They caught the bad guy. That's always a good thing.
Yep. So I mean, overall, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it definitely was an unexpected event on our trip. We thought we were going down there to do one job. We ended up doing two. One was pro bono. We did it for free.
Right.
Even though it extended us a couple extra days, but we're happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to do it.
Yep.
Yep. We've got some other episodes that we'll be talking about in the future that involved drugs also.
Right.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But as far as this goes, that kind of wraps it up for today.
Yep.
I know that you're heading back to upstate New York tomorrow.
Yep.
So, have a safe trip. I'll be stuck here in the mountains of Tennessee and, this horrible community that I live in here.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's just beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
we got 20 miles of hiking and UTV trails here, and it's a nature. You always tease me because it's called a nature resort
Yeah,
that I live in, and
exactly.
you're like a resort.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now that you've been here for a while and you've been visiting, you can see that
It's a resort.
yeah, it's a resort, and it's just a gorgeous place to be. And love the wildlife. I mean, they're protected in here, and deer every day. We see deer every single day, turkeys, and all kinds of wildlife.
Yeah, and I get to go back to upstate New York where, you know, more snow. It's not, at least it's not Buffalo where,
Yeah.
6 feet of snow.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But the snow and it's getting, cold. So
Well, we're not
yeah.
sure when this episode's going to air, so it might not be as cold then. But
That's
yeah,
true. That's
but
true.
this is 2 days before Thanksgiving that we're actually recording this episode.
Right.
So yeah, Buffalo just got nailed, and
Yeah.
up in upstate where you live is going to be cold.
Yeah. So
Yep.
again, thanks for putting this all together and getting this off the ground. And for all the listeners, again, please, if you like this, and tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your family, tell fellow divers, and we're going to continue doing this, and eventually we're going to get some sponsors, and we're going to start doing these reenactments.
Yeah, so we can start putting on videos.
Yeah.
Hopefully half-hour to hour-long shows.
Yep.
Yep.
And you're going to see.
We have some episodes that are going to be a little longer that are going to be continued.
Right.
We'll try not to do that too much, but some of them are going to be that. Some of the bigger, higher profile cases.
Right. So
Yep.
so stay tuned for those. Again, we're going to put a lot more information out there, a lot more content, and we hope that you continue to listen and continue to follow us.
We appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. It's greatly appreciated. Ed, man, what can I say? I love you, buddy. We've been working together for a lot of years, and
Yeah, man.
and at your advanced age, I'm just glad every day you wake up.
Yeah, sure.
But
All right. Well,
but
Rich,
anyway, on behalf of myself, Senior Investigator Rich Morin,
and myself, Senior Investigator Ed Myron,
thank you for listening to
Underwater CSI International Revealed.
On behalf of everyone at Underwater CSI International, Revealed, this is Randy Overton. Thank you for tuning in. Underwater CSI International Revealed is for entertainment purposes only. The information revealed is not intended, nor is it a substitution for the proper training and education received from a qualified dive professional. Certain episodes are loosely based on and may be modified from actual cases. Some episodes are fictional based, featuring procedures that could possibly be used by underwater investigators. Resemblance to destinations, actual cases, or persons living or deceased is purely coincidental.